I've had some relatively bad days in the garage, but let me share with you the worst of them all. Today is on a Sunday, and on Sundays I don't do car content. Anyway, let me tell you about the ordeal. I was relatively green in the garage. I was barely in for 1 month. Then this lady, elderly lady, comes in with this really nice looking car. I mean, I just took one look at it and I was like, wow, that kind of moment. Huh? So the lady came in, she reported her issues, and a mechanic started attending to her. So I went on about my business, fixing other cars here and there. Then I felt thirsty. So I decided to go and get a cup of water. Now, in Precision, where the water dispenser is placed is in the reception area. Now, I went about the business, just fetching some water, and then I started drinking some water. And that's when something struck me deep. I mean, I got so transfixed that I forgot I was thirsty and I started gazing at the tumbler. And I was like, okay, this one looks odd. See, I'm in an awkward situation. So I decided, let me go and take the tab. There's this tab we usually use at Precision to fill in the car details. So I pretended to be scrolling and I was like, okay, whatever is happening, it bothered me so much. It bothered me so much that after that, I just put the tab down, took my bag, freshened up, went to the ladies' room, and off home I went. It was around 4:30, so it was relatively really early for me to leave the garage. On my way home when I was in the matatu, I was so disturbed. I mean, I was like, whatever I had experienced had really taken an emotional toll on me. It had brought me down and I was not really in the best mood, if I would say that. So what exactly happened? When I went to take the water, I wanted to take a drink, I had someone mumbling. As in, someone was mumbling, and when I looked around, the lady who brought in the very nice-looking European car was seated somewhere sidelined by the corner, and she had her head bowed down. Now, what caught my attention is the fact that she was mumbling in Kikuyu. Okay, in Precision, we have very few Kikuyus. Back then, we were just around 3 of us. So it's like, who is she talking to in Kikuyu? It's not like she's having a phone call or anything. Then I was like, let me pay closer attention. And that's when I realized she was praying. And now, on listening closely, let me quote the word she was saying. This is what she was saying. Ngai mwathani ndakuhoya kanyamuka ukonekane na ni tondu ni njui we wi hinya na wi na uhoti ni njui ni ugutuma konekane na wona konekana mwathani ngutura ngugocaga matuku makwa mothe. Now, in English, she was saying, dear God, I pray that the spare parts may be found. And because you're mighty and able, I know you will make it happen. And for that, I will worship you all the days of my life. Now, this was what had happened. Let me tell you a backstory. There was a small part attached to the engine of her car that she had really struggled looking for. She had gone to many garages trying to source it, all to no avail. So now she came to Precision Automotive as a last resort. Up to today, I've never known if the part was ever found. And that's because I've never followed up with a mechanic. Because my greatest fear is I hear the report that the part was never found, and that would crush me totally. It would really break my heart. So my dear ones, as you buy a car, if maybe your dream car or that car you're acquiring, always ensure that spare parts availability is a priority. It's a consideration. Because many other times we buy cars and we have not yet even done any research if the spare parts can be found. So a very small part fails and it cannot be found. You have the money, yes, but then the parts cannot be found. So you realize maybe a very small part that will cost you maybe barely 3,000. The only option you have is replacing the engine. Now imagine 3,000 versus maybe 1 million for buying an engine. Always ensure that the car that you're going for, it will serve you well and it will give you an easy time. And now with this one, I'm hitting on the European cars that come as a limited edition. These cars come all fully packed. Imagine with massage seats, with heated seats and all that. And because most of us or some of us are looking for the luxury and the added options, the extra advantages, we are really attracted to them. And that is until the car decides to teach you character development. Because that car was relatively new. But now, the small part or the small spare part that it needed, there was no way of finding it. Sometimes even in Dubai, it's really hard to come across it. And now the only option you get is that part comes with the engine. So the only option you have is replacing the engine. So yeah, always ensure that spare parts is a very major consideration when you're buying a car. And believe me, I'm not trying to sell you fear when I tell you to avoid the limited edition cars. Not all European cars are problematic, but when we talk about limited edition, my dear friend, They are really problematic, right? And the story I'm telling you about this lady, it's 100% true. That one I can swear on it. It's 100% true, and it really did happen. So yes, my friends, always ensure that the car that you're going for, ensure that the spare parts are available. Because one thing you need to understand about limited edition cars, I've done a video about it. They are produced very few worldwide. So if something is really few, even getting parts from salvage cars is next to impossible. So it leaves you with a car that you cannot use because a spare part cannot be found. So always ensure that spare parts is a major consideration when buying a car. And now finally, if you've not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly subscribe, because this is where I share informative and educative car content tailor-made just for you.